Good evening, coaching for your family. Thanks for joining me. Thanks. It's good to have you back. I want to thank you for being here with me this evening, and I'd like to let you know that there are a lot of good things happening, and you can expect to see some real changes soon. So thanks for joining me. I'm here tonight because number one, I love jazz. Oh, how I love it. My apologies. Again, thanks for joining me. It's good to be back here with you at Coaching You For You Studio. Thanks for joining me. So tonight our topic is about when relationships fail. And they do. Unfortunately, they do. I want to remind you that it is important to hydrate, moisturize your feet, and mind your business. Don't forget that. That's so important. But when relationships fail, I'm asking you to make a commitment not to stay once they've left. Even if they are still physically present and they have left, don't stay. Don't wear out your welcome. Don't take yourself through any unnecessary changes. So, one of the things I always share with you is that this is my experience, strength, and hope. I'm not speaking for anybody but Annette. Reshuffle the deck. Yep, that's right. Reshuffle the deck. People are going to walk out of your life, but it's not the end of your story. It's just the end of that part of your story. Be good to yourself. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in who, what, where, how, and why they left. They're gone. They're gone. And you have to accept that. You have to accept that. That's one of the most important things that you are ever going to do is accept when somebody leaves. I don't know who needs to hear this tonight. And again, I'm reminding you, I am sharing my experience, strength, and hope. I don't know who needs to hear this, but your mental health is more important than any situationship that you might be in. When the relationship has failed, don't stay. You cannot and will not change other people. You can change yourself, but you cannot and you will not change other people. Again, I'm going to remind you, I'm not advertising for anybody, but hydrate. Our mental health is more important than anything that might be comfortable for us at that time. And I want to remind you that when it's failed and they leave or you leave and you have the urge to return, remember what hurt you in the first place. Remember the damage that was done. And just ask yourself, how long did it take me to restore my peace of mind? And do I want to return to that chaos? I don't think so. It's okay to love yourself, people. I tell you that all the time. It's okay to be your own biggest fan. Be your own biggest fan. It's okay to hype yourself up. Stop putting yourself last. You're important. Don't be last. All relationships require work. And I don't believe from my experience that, and that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, my experience, that when it's over, some of the things that are going to be critical to the restoration, whether you're a man or a woman, this is going to be critical to the restoration of you. And restoring you when relationships fail is the goal. That's right. So the first thing we have to do is accept that it's over. I think the hardest part for me, and I'm always clear about this is something that happened long after I was widowed. But that relationship for me, in accepting that it was over, was one of the bravest things I had ever done. It's one of the greatest things I'd ever done. And if you haven't been there, don't judge people who have or people who are in it right now. When it's over. And accepting that is a big part of restoration. Find somebody, that's number one. Number two is find somebody that you can tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. That's going to make a tremendous difference in the healing process. I'm speaking from experience now. I had to be able to tell somebody the truth. I had to be able to tell somebody, things that had happened and the things that I suffered, no matter how embarrassing they were. I had to be able to share that truth because it is that truth that brought me to my freedom. And even as we speak about relationships that have failed, I want you to know that there's some pretty awesome folks out here. And I don't know where or how you will find them, but here's what I know for sure. If you will empty your backpack, that backpack that's weighing you down, with the worry and the stress of what happened and how poorly you were treated and how much you suffered. I need you to go through that because that's how I got through it. Tell the whole truth. Accept that it's over. Tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and don't deny the pain. A lot of time, and the grief, because grief in these situations are real. When somebody you love leaves or you leave because you can no longer tolerate whatever is hurting you, there's grief associated with that. And if you don't understand the grieving process, look it up because a loss is a loss, and some impact us a lot greater than others, but a loss is a loss. Don't deny the pain associated with breaking up with somebody that you love. Don't. And here's the real deal, and here's a hit for you. This is a little back change for your pocket. If you genuinely love somebody, you don't stop loving them, you stop liking them. You stop wanting to be in a relationship with them. Real love doesn't die, and those memories will live forever. How you deal with them is going to be critical to your mental health. That's right, I said mental health, a topic that so many people deny and don't want to discuss. When you are grieving, whether it is the loss of a relationship or anything else, it's very, very difficult and it can be isolating. And I'd like to paraphrase something that a woman I admire and respect said, Sharon Such a Diva Harris. She said, fight for the light. When the light goes out in your relationship, or you lose somebody that you love, fight for the light because recovery is possible and you will get your whole self back. But you got to be willing to work on it. You got to be willing to wait, you got to be willing to make an effort and be a part of it because when I suffered the loss, and I was gone long before either of us left, I was. And I had to admit that. I had to admit that, there was pain and grief associated with accepting that it was over for good and there was going to be no turning back. It wasn't healthy. And so, one of the things that my coach recommended to me, all good coaches, all life inspiration coaches have coaches. If they don't, They're behind enemy lines because they're only dealing with what they think and what they feel. And they're not getting any outside help to deal with the things that impact them. And so, my coach is Nabila Ishmael. Nabila, again, thank you. I love you. I appreciate everything that you've done for me. But more than any of it, I appreciate your honesty and your transparency with um, telling me the whole truth. I appreciate that. At the time, maybe not so much, but as I grew in the recovery and the restoration from that situation, and it was a situationship, it was never a relationship, no matter how much I cared. But one of the things that worked best for me, and at her direction, I took a whole year, 12 months, to look at me. What role did I play? How was I involved in such a messy, dysfunctional situation? How? I know better. How was I involved in that? And so the question, that was the biggest question. How did I let myself get involved in such a horrible situation? No excuses, just reality. I did. It happened. And it snuck up on me. It really did. It snuck up on me. I mean, I was all the way in before I knew I was in, and I was distracted. And I was distracted for a number of reasons. But more than anything else, I know today, after examining, where I was and what happened, I needed a friend. I just needed a friend, and I thought I had one. Turns out I didn't, but I thought I had one. And the reality of it was I had to take a look at the role I played in that, ignoring all the red flags. Yeah, ignoring them. And I've shared this before. And as I continue to tell stories of restoration and share stories of restoration and share stories of recovery from bad situations, I'm going to continue to talk about it because some other woman might benefit or some other man might benefit from what I have to say. Don't ignore the red flags. Take 12 months to just do self care. Just do you. Just do you. And if you don't remember anything else, please remember this: it's going to be tough. But no matter what happens and how you decide to take the road to recovery from a bad situation, when a relationship fails, do not stay where they left you. Whether you left or they left, don't stay where the left happened, no matter who created it. Don't stay there. Do something different. Get up. If you haven't been working out and that's something you appreciate doing, for me, it was yoga. Get back to it. Get back to the yoga. Some people say, oh, that's corny and it doesn't do anything. It did a whole lot. It brought me back to who I was and who I knew myself to be. Do something different. Don't stay there. Drink water, hydrate, eat fruit, mind your business, moisturize your feet and your hands. You know, do what you need to do to recover. Do what you need to do to get better because the opportunity to get better is going to be there if you work at it, but you got to work at it. All of us get hurt sometimes. All of us go through changes sometimes. Everybody doesn't admit it, but we all have difficult situations where we all have suffered a bad relationship, if not more. Thank God, that's not my story, but the one I suffered was enough to teach me. I learned. And there are lessons in that I had to continue to learn because I'm a little stubborn, and sometimes, I had to repeat the lesson to get it. You know, we sometimes think when we're in bad situations, if we just love them enough, if we just, work to meet the standards that they set for us, and they set standards, um, that it'll be better. It won't. It won't. Because in getting in the relationship, And taking time to get to know the person, you learn some things about them and you know who they are. And that's why I tell you, the role I played was I ignored the red flags. Yep, I did. And I suffered the consequences of that. And so will you too if you ignore them. Trust me, you won't get away with ignoring red flags and getting in situations and then thinking, how did I get here? We bring ourselves to them. Do what it takes to make yourself feel better. There's only one thing that I would recommend from my experience that you not do. Take the time to heal yourself, number one. You need to do that. You need to unpack all of the bad, negative energy that was packed in trying to make it work. Here's what not to do. And I don't care how much people encourage you. Oh, in order to learn how to ride, you got to get back. No, nope. Do not get back in to another relationship for at least 12 months. Now, for a lot of people, that's tough because they never want to be alone. I'm Annette Latigue. I am your host here, coaching you for you. And I'm telling you, I'm giving you my experience, my strength, and my hope in this. Do not get back into another relationship for at least a year. Take some time, take 12 months to take care of yourself. You took a long time taking care of them, looking out for them, making sure that, they had whatever they needed to do what they needed to do. Take some time to take care of you. Yes, self care is the best care, and it's not selfish. So many people say, "Oh, you're not supposed to be lovers of self. You better love yourself first. If you don't love yourself first, you will be incapable of loving anybody else, and I don't care who it is." And the other thing is, there are a lot of wounded warriors out here. Be careful. Be careful and pay attention. They're wounded. And if they're not getting any help or not making any effort to change, I can promise you they're going to wound you. That's my experience. They're going to wound you. You know, um, but the other thing I want you to know is in examining the role that you played, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. It's a game changer. And the other thing I want you to know that will change the game for you tremendously. When a relationship fails, don't stay stuck. Don't stay hoping that if you just sit tight and wait, they'll come back. If you got to wait for them, if they put you on layaway or discount, you don't need them. You really don't. And I don't care how much you care for them. There are times when we love people, but we can't be with them. We're not supposed to be with them. They were a chapter, not the book. Remember that. Examine yourself in the role you play. I found out through this process, and there were layers that I played a role too. So I'm not blaming anybody. I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope that when relationship fails, accept it and move on. I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope that you've got to take care of yourself because nobody's coming to rescue you. And certainly not the person who created the pain. They're not coming to patch it up. You have to take care of yourself. Stop focusing on who they are and what they need and start focusing on who you are and what you need. And, one of the other things that I found in this 12-month journey of restoration was that my boundaries weren't firm enough. Like I talked about them, I shared about them, I pulled back. It created a lot of havoc and a lot of resentment on their part, but my boundaries were not firm enough. When I said no, that should have been it. And no matter how much I felt that with a little more love and, you know, care, that they would get to where they needed to be because they were so wounded. And it's not that they denied those wounds, it's just that I thought loving them enough would help. It didn't, and it won't. And so, if you want to be happy, don't stay where they left you. Do something different. You want a haircut? You want to push your hair back? You want to cut it? You want? I'm letting my hair grow again. That's tough. You want to cut your hair? You want to try a little lipstick? You want to try a little, eyeshadow? Do that for the men. If you want to, go bald, or you want to start wearing fedoras, or you want to travel a little bit more, just don't stay where they left you at. Don't stay there. And again, I want to remind you, it doesn't matter who left, because I was gone long before it was over. Doesn't matter who left. Just don't stay in the left position. Do something good for yourself. Glow up. That goes for men too. Guys, you do know you can get manis and petties. You don't have to get polished unless you want it. And if you do, whatever whatever floats your boat. But it's okay for you to get manis and petties and facials. It's okay for you to get massages. It's okay for you to take, men trips and hang out and reconnect with real men. And for the ladies, I'd like to suggest that there are a lot of folks who give advice, and that's okay. People have a right to do whatever it is they want to do, and I respect that. But I'm not taking advice from somebody who has had multiple failed relationships. I'm not taking advice from somebody who has no time in a relationship, a successful relationship. And I'm not talking about a year or two. I want people who have experience, because the people with experience are the ones who are able to teach me. I'm teachable, and I will be until the grave. I'm teachable. I want to learn. I don't know everything. What I know, but I don't know everything. And I'm open to learning new things. And so here we go. Accept it. Look at it for what it is. Don't try to create a fantasy around what it can be. I did that. I didn't even realize it was a fantasy. I saw such great potential in this person that I thought, man, we can do this. This is going to be great. Mm-mm. Much too wounded, and much too self centered to even think about or care about what somebody else might want or need. And so that's usually the case, one or the other. But all of us, those who leave and those who stay, play a role in relationships that fail. Simple as that. Whether you accept it or reject it. Dig it or ig it. What doesn't apply, let it fly. I'm telling you that we all play a role in failed relationships. I'm not a victim, and nor will I pretend to be. I went into it with my eyes wide shut, as most of us do. But hopping from one to the other is not my thing. So, I want to wrap this up quickly, and I want to tell you that one of the reasons the dating pool is so polluted is because we have not put the trash out. Put the trash out, people. And that's what it is. When you're hurting and you've been left behind for one reason or the other, put the trash out. Put the trash out. Stop jumping in the pools with that backpack of trash on your back. You're polluting the pool. You're putting people, who may have an interest in a situation where they don't want to swim in those polluted waters. And so good people step back and the backpacks jump in. You can tell when the trash is in the water. You can tell. You can tell. You can tell when you go out on first dates, or you're new to the relationship and the person just wants to argue. They don't trust anything. Everything is an issue. See, those are the red flags I'm talking about. um, you can tell, it's obvious that they're not prepared to move forward and be in a relationship. But because we sometimes, out of grief from losses and loneliness, will jump into the pool with those backpacks on. Pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what you see. Don't worry about what they say. A lot of people, men and women, have good game. They got good rap. They know how to, tell you all the things you want to hear. Watch what they do. And when you watch what they do and the words don't align with what they're doing, pay attention. Relationships fail. That's a fact. I didn't make that up. That's a fact. Relationships fail. And until we accept a relationship that has gone to the left, until we accept the role we play in those failed relationships, and I'm not asking you to blame yourself either, so don't get it twisted. I'm simply saying that my experience, strength, and hope is that when I looked at the role I played, I could have done better. I could have done something way better in taking care of myself. Self care, part of self care requires that you examine yourself, who you are, where you've been, what you've done, and where you want to go. Otherwise, you're polluting the pool. That's for those of us who are single. For those of you who are in long term relationships, keep at it. I had one. They're good. They are. They can be really, really good. Commitment is good. Trust is good. Loyalty is good. It can be good. Don't look at one failed relationship. And if you're failing more than once or twice or three times at relationships, you might need to take a look at yourself and the role you're playing in those failures. You come on board, and this happens a lot, and you see a guy or a girl who's cheating on their mate. This is for men and women. And you think that you're going to be able to do something different. You bringing something different to the table and they're going to love you better. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. A leopard will not change its stripes. No. The best thing I can tell you from my experience is when you meet somebody who's really done some work on regrouping and becoming a better person, their character will speak to it. And that's the things, character is what you actually do. Reputation is what other people think and say. Doesn't matter. That's their right. But when you meet somebody who's actually changed, you'll see the change. You'll see the change on the first date. You'll see the change on the second date and the third and the fourth when you go out. And, one of the things you share is, like, hey, I don't want to be all over the place at every set. Listen, if you're showing up at every set, right? If you feel like you got to flex at every set, you're going to lose all your flavor. Because flexing at every set, That means where you got to be seen and on the scene at every set means you don't have anything else to do. And it speaks volumes. So, what are you going to bring to the table besides a flex? What are you going to bring to the table? And men and women alike bring to the table. And hey, by the way, let's talk about this. A lot of people complain about submission, women and men. Oh, I'm submitting. I'm not. Listen, submission is for both parties. It's for the man and the woman. And for those of you who don't know that, do your homework. You got to submit. You have to compromise, and you should. You should compromise in conflict. You should compromise when and where you have a difference of opinion. You should compromise on who does the grocery shopping, who fills the gas tank up. You should compromise on those things, and you should work as a team. What you don't compromise ever is who you actually are. Because when you do, you're bringing your representative to the table. I want to thank you for joining me this evening. Dedicate those first 12 months to recovery. Recovery does work. And most of you hear the word recovery and you think it's automatically recovery from a substance. It's not. You know, the real hit and the real deal is this, having been an addiction specialist and certified in it. Recovery, whether it's grief, whether it's substance abuse, is never about what you put in place to make you feel better, whether it's multiple relationships, that hot boy, hot girl summer thing, whether that's it, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, those are symptoms of the problem. The problem is the pain. Get with it. We all have it sooner or later. It's called life on life's terms. Be good to yourself, glow up, don't stay where you're left. That's left field. Don't stay there, no matter who leaves. Give yourself time and figure out and be honest about your role in the failure of the relationship. Have a good evening. I'm Annette Latigue. Shout out to the Ingram Kingdom Mobile Kitchen. Shout out to Elisa's Catering. Shout out to the Food Bar and Grill. Shout out to Sisters Seasoning. Shout out to the Skillet. Shout out to Ula Bala. Hey, y'all, keep doing what you're doing. We need you. Good food matters. Have a good night.